Today we're going to be talking about circles. This is from your homework 9.3, the circles worksheet. Starting with number 1. Number 1 says graph each circle and identify its radius. So we're given a formula here for a circle, x squared plus y squared equals 9. We have to kind of recognize the parts of that. Well, I know if I have a circle that starts at the center, which means my origin, that circle can be written as x squared plus y squared equals r squared, where r is my radius. So I might want to identify what my r would be. So if r squared here equals 9, then r, if I were to take the square root of both sides, would give me 3. Once I've identified my radius, then I can easily graph my circle. Because I know that it starts at the origin because there's nothing adding or subtracted to the x squared or the y squared, my center point is 0, 0. Then I can go ahead and graph my radius. So the radius of a circle would mean that from all points it is the distance of that value. So if I go out 3 to the right, I would go 3 up, 3 to the left, and 3 down. Those are all going to be points on my circle. Then I can go ahead and connect the points with the circle. Please forgive my circle for being not so round. So I know that the radius was 3 for my circle that was started at the origin, or the center is at the origin, 0, 0. Okay, let's take a look at another problem. Here it says graph the circle and its center and radius. So this one's just a little bit different because my center is no longer the origin. So my center is not 0, 0. So I need to figure out what my center is. So I'm going to think about my formula a little bit differently now, thinking about h and k as my center. So the formula for a circle with the radius, or is the center h and k, is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where my center is h comma k. Notice that there's negatives in front of h and k. That means that they're going to appear opposite as they do in the formula. So we have the opposite of h. Here we have x minus 2. So we have to think of the center being the opposite of negative 2 or positive 2. And here I have y plus 1. So I have to think about my k as being the opposite of positive 1, which would be a negative 1. Same thing for my radius. If my r squared is equal to 16, then if I took the square root of each of that sides of that, same thing with my radius. If my r squared is 16, and I take the square root of both sides of that, then I would find that my radius is 4. Once I have both parts, the center and the radius, I can easily graph this circle. I'm going to start by plotting the center, 2, negative 1. Then I'm going to use my radius, and I'm going to go in all directions a radius of 4, which means a distance of 4 from the center. So starting with going to the right, I'm going to go 4 to the right and put a dot. I'm going to go 4 upwards and put a dot. 4 to the left and place a point, and 4 down to place a point. Now that I have 4 points that lie on my circle, I can connect them with a beautiful circle, which mine will not be as round as I'd like it to, but there we go. I have a circle with a center of 2, negative 1 and a radius of 4. Lastly, I want to show you about how to write an equation for a circle in standard form, giving the following points. I have a center of 1, 2 and a point of 4, 6. So if I think about the equation that we just used before, where we have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, I want to be able to fill in h, k, and r. But so far what I'm given is h, k, and a point, which is technically an x and y. So what I want to do is fill in those things and solve for r. So off to the side here, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my h, k, and my x and y so I can solve for r. So I'm going to start with x minus h. So that's going to be 4 minus 1 squared. Then I'm going to have y minus k. That's going to be 6 minus 2 squared. And again, I don't know what r squared is. So I know 4 minus 1, that's 3 squared. And 6 minus 2, that's 4 squared. And that should give me r squared. Well, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16. And I add those together, I'm going to get 25 equals r squared. To solve for r, I need to take the square root of both sides. And I will find that the radius is, now generally we do an equation, we say plus or minus 5, but because radius is distance, we're going to use a positive 5 since distance is always positive. Now that I have my radius and I have my h and k, I can write my equation. So I'm going to fill this in. I'm going to have x minus h1 squared plus my y minus my k, so y minus 2 squared equals radius squared. Well, 5 squared would be 25. I knew that here from radius squared, and now I have my equation. Any questions, please see me or Mr. Daniels, and have a fabulous time finishing your homework.